Right-wing radio host Michael Savage is going to do a segment where he calls for a crusade against liberals if Trump wins, and it actually gets kind of dangerous here.
Of course, if she wins, it's all over. And I list them in scorched earth. Would you like to know the names of these extreme liberal, progressive organizations? Some of them you will know. The American Civil Liberties Union, the Council on American Islamic Relations, the Southern Poverty Law Center. Oh, but there are many, many others that are clearly treasonous, in my opinion. The number one public enemy, page 85, the head of the serpent is the ACLU. It must be broken apart. Now, if I say that the way to do it is to start with the UAC, House of Un-American Activities Committee investigation, I know what's going to happen. The left wing will go insane. They'll say, Savage, you're violating our civil rights. They'll say you do not have probable cause to bring people in to investigate them. They might be right, but we need to do exactly that for our survival, all right? Tell me how a society that is open like ours, that is democratic like ours, can survive when enemies of freedom, enemies of democracy are destroying society by using the very freedoms that we have in place because of the U.S. Constitution. What would you do? This is the conundrum we are facing. These are probably the most important questions of our time. How can civil liberties be protected? And should civil liberties be put above survival? Should civil liberties be put above survival? Because with all due respect to Benjamin Franklin, who said that liberty must be placed higher than security, without survival, what good are civil liberties? That's the problem. This crusade is going to lead us down roads we may not be comfortable going down, but we must go there. Page 86, Scorched Earth.
He literally called it a crusade. He goes on, by the way, in that clip to say, I want to team up with Donald Trump. I want to be in his administration if he wins, and we're going to do rallies, and at the rallies, I need everybody to hold their Bibles up in the air. That's what I want. You heard what he said there. So he's listing different organizations, the ACLU, the Council on American and Islamic Relations CARE, and the Southern Poverty Law Center, SPLC. He says they're treasonous, and then he goes on to say, well, look, am I for political prisoners? Yeah, I'm for political prisoners. And he explains how in the name of freedom and democracy, we need to be undemocratic and anti-freedom. Because these groups are so bad and so wrong that it's for our security. And with all due respect to Benjamin Franklin, who said, give me liberty or give me death, well, I think the opposite is true. Give me security before freedom. Because security is a higher, more noble goal than freedom. This is what he's arguing. And by the way, this is something Chris Christie has argued before too, though Chris Christie I honestly don't believe is as insane as this guy is. But he's saying, yeah, civil liberties. What are you going to do? Chris Christie said, can you enjoy your civil liberties in a coffin? He's saying the same thing. And he's using that point to then argue, well, we got to take political prisoners and we got to restrict civil rights and civil liberties of the ACLU and CARE and the Southern Poverty Law Center and all these liberals. We have to go on a crusade against the liberals and lock them up because they're so dangerous and their ideas are so bad that we can't risk having them around here because we need security. So after we act in an undemocratic way and in a way that is anti-freedom and anti-liberty and anti-civil rights, well, then I'll say it's cool and we can have civil rights after that. Oh, well, isn't that fucking convenient? So after I already decide who all my enemies are and lock them up without a trial and no due process and no habeas corpus, and I lock them up simply because I disagree with them, well, then maybe, yeah, but we can have a conversation about, being open and democratic again. No, this guy is really dangerous. He is. And this is like, you know what it is? He's presenting it as if it's this new idea, as if it's something he came up with and it's totally original. And all he's doing is presenting the most basic, the most standard authoritarian argument I've ever heard. I mean, he's just flat out calling for authoritarianism and calling for fascism. But he thinks, because he's an idiot, he thinks, when I do it, it's not fascism and it's not authoritarian because I'm the good guy by definition. So when I do it, it's just out of necessity and because I had to do it. Don't you think that's the argument they use in all these other authoritarian regimes and fascist regimes? I mean, we had to do it. That's why we did it. It's like we didn't have a choice. We had to do it. No, you didn't have to do it. You never have to do it. You could actually abide by principles of freedom and liberty and justice and say that's off the table. Those are guaranteed. Those are givens. And think about it. If we could, in the face of the Nazis, give them a legitimate trial and have due process in place to deal with them, the idea that we can't have due process now for our various, enemies and issues we face, of course we can, and we should. And that's what's supposed to be the idea of America and what's supposed to make us great in an open and free society. He's arguing for the exact opposite of that. And he's not even arguing to lock up fucking enemies. He's arguing to lock up the most American people who care the most about our system. I mean, the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, who they're not even a left-wing organization. They're just for civil liberties. They defended the KKK and neo-Nazis at times because they wanted free speech rights to do a march through, various towns that were Jewish or black. So the guy is he's a scary, scary authoritarian person, and he should be nowhere near power. And he goes on to explain how he's been in contact with the Donald Trump people, and he's been sending them his book. That's what he's reading from there. And, maybe you let me in the administration if you win. Oh. I once called Michael Savage the dumbest right-wing radio host in the country, or the right-wing commentator or pundit, and I stand by that. I was spot on. I nailed him when I originally said that.